Bagaetsho le gaile e santsane le gaile gago. Wa mogetse mo Mzanzi Fundiz. Well, it's time for us to touch on Betway Premiership and see what's happening. Action e baya and Machita ka ba tseba ba ntshwaretse inside e baya. Mamphoza re bone hore game ya Orlando Pirates ba postpone midweek e ba ka advantage mara ya still is yona ne sa postponeiwa and bona they're going away. A bit unfair.
George Orwell said, this is animal farm. Some animals are more equal than others. But look, we've got to go and say administratively, whatever was done wasn't done. It's what happens. Ideally, you would like for me, and this is what I'd recommend, to say there must be a moratorium. If anybody plays continental football, standard that games are postponed. Because then we won't have questions of why is it this one gets a postponed.
So no need to be sending letters.
No need to be sending letters. You are playing continental football.
Whether home or away.
Chief, do you understand the importance? Do you understand the
But then Mamphoza is not being fair. Is that not going to make the league extend the deadline?
Yeah.
League is fair.
No, but league is fair, but what Mpho is saying. If you have 3 teams that are playing continental football, the others games are not have been postponed from playing. Why the other one must play? More so that the team that has played is also going away, and the other guys actually have the luxury because they're playing at home. They don't have to travel. So you just have to say that let all the teams that are playing continental football to not have any midweek games, and they can be able to prepare.
The Orwellish behavior then will go away, because then everybody knows we are treated the same because we are equal in this. But at the moment, it is Orwell at its best. Some animals are more.
Okare who complain Stellenbosch they took advantage of it. As Amazulu would say, inkomidli pants. What I think Amazulu sanele pants habakora. Richard Ofori, Lufuno?
I've always told you about Amazulu. They're not consistent. I was here last week and you were saying Amazulu this and that. I said they're not consistent. They need to find consistency with Mangete. And the biggest problem for Amazulu this season has always been a goalkeeping area. Either they put Mota in or they change, they put Ofori, is the same thing. They keep giving away cheap goals.
Would you say they need to go and buy a goalie in the transfer
they need
window?
to invest in that area, because you can see, I mean, the guys as well are a little bit aging, both of them. So they need to have fresh players, and that's where we always speak about
Mpho. They say goalkeepers age well.
No.
I mean, that's been the saying. Goalkeepers, when they age, they become better.
The issue is, if you're going to look at how many goalkeepers that are South African in the PSL that are under 21 or 22, you will find none in the PSL.
But it's
a problem.
No, I hear you. That you're doing two things that should not be mixed. Is there a goalkeeping crisis in South Africa? Yes. But we've been told everywhere else, from the Brian Balois, the Andre Arenses. If you remember, those guys were playing, they were fast approaching 40 and they were keepers. The thing at Amazulu is that the 2 goalkeepers that are there, that are very senior goalkeepers, a national team goalkeeper, and
goalkeepers.
Both of them. They are horrible. Pro. I have a goalkeeper. Caesar Mabena is available.
My man, Ubuaga goalkeeper, aging well, fine wine.
Yeah.
Cape Town City, Popeye Kit, is he aging well? I mean, they're going to be taking on Richards Bay.
He's very erratic. If you look at him as well, he's very erratic. Cape Town City, they're where they are because of him as well. You know, we need to recognize that we have a goalkeeping problem in South Africa. And the coach, Hugo Bros, spoke about it. We need to start looking at that, at how do we then work around it? Because if you were to look at it, they're not getting younger. Both of those goalkeepers, they're getting old every year.
So are you saying Richards Bay is going to be taking advantage? Are you saying Richards Bay going through in this match, winning the match, that is?
If you look at form, both of the 2 teams, their forms are not convincing. They're not convincing. So they're not convincing. So look, it's going to be a very tight game. But I think Richards Bay need points to run away.
No, you can't say Richards Bay needs points.
When others are languishing at the bottom.
But you need to beat the guys that you are competing with. They're the bottom.
So you are saying Richards Bay is going to win?
It's going to win.
What's your prediction?
2-1.
To Richards Bay.
Yeah.
Mamphoza prediction?
It's going to be a draw. Yeah, fine. Now, whatever happens on the left must be done on the right.
All right, Saturday, Marumo Gallants playing against Golden Arrows. I mean, they were recently knocked out of the Nedbank Cup against Pirates.
Look, I think where Golden Arrows are, and you've got to look at the players that are there. For me, they've got the player personnel that should be able to win. Again, it's a PSL problem where the just hasn't been any form to look at. You look at the players that Marumo has got. You've got Bomahango, you've got Bomanaka. Those are seasoned professionals that have been here, should be able to not be where they are. So, but looking at the way they are, another draw.
Your prediction for that match, Lufuno?
It's a lovely draw.
Lovely draw.
Yeah.
All right, then we see the Limpopo derby. Sekhukhune playing against Polokwane City. What do you make of that game, Lufuno?
Look, Polokwane, they're finding their feet, but they also have a goalkeeping problem. Both teams, in fact, they have a goalkeeping problem. If you look at their games when they lose games, most of them are because goalkeepers are very erratic, and that on its own cost points. Polokwane, they've got a knack of really, upping their game when they play teams that are very organized. They're not an easy team to beat. They can grind result. I know both teams again. They're also fighting for position 3, position 4. They are there. So it's going to be a very tough game. It's a derby, and there's something that they're playing for. They need to consolidate the top 8 spot as well. So, but looking at this game, I would say 1-0 Polokwane.
You see, consolidating top 8, Sekhukhune wanted to consolidate top 4. If you look at the past 2 seasons, Sekhukhune has always been in the top 4. That's why they played in the CAF Confed. So Sekhukhune want to play in the top 4. Polokwane started well. And in South Africa, there's that. In the PSL, you've got teams that will start very well. And then you wonder, where did they go? If you remember last season, Mabuti was flying. And then, what happened? And then
he beat Cheese, and then after Shapa Cheese, he was last.
So when you look at that, you've got to be able to say, I see Sekhukhune winning because Sekhukhune want to be able to consolidate. Eric Tinkler, what he's doing at Sekhukhune, Sekhukune's squad is one of the best assembled squad. You've got to look at Linda, you've got to look at Monare, you've got to look at Mbule, you've got to look at Maghalwa. When you look at those things and you look at what they're able to do, I think Sekhukhune will have too much firepower. And purely because I hate watching Polokwane City.
Lufuno, Chippa is playing against Kaizer Chiefs. This is your moment.
Kaizer Chiefs needs to continue with the momentum. Kaizer Chiefs have played Chippa United this season already, and they did find to be able to knock Chippa out of the Nedbank Cup.
So Chippa is not really a problem for them.
It's not a problem. Kaizer Chiefs needs to find momentum. Every game that Kaizer Chiefs play now, it's a final. But they need to win their games.
There's an outcry, and Nabi only applies himself when he plays against big team, meaning that he's bringing on small team tactics.
That's why I'm saying to you, he needs to find the consistency in terms of how Kaizer Chiefs apply themselves in terms of winning games. We know that we don't have to fight for top 4.
So where's the consistency going to be coming from? How should he approach this game? Which personnel should he use?
He needs to be. He needs to have consistent on a team list that because you can't.
So you want the same lineup to go.
If the players are healthy, there's no injuries. You shouldn't be chopping, changing the team. You need to build from there so that the players can have the social factor and be able to gain momentum in terms of winning.
Wandile Duba is a leading goal scorer at Kaizer Chiefs. Before for prediction, how important is he and is he going to score? Quickly, 10 seconds.
Duba, with what he's done, his contribution has been immense. The youngster has come up from the development and he's contributed to a team that has been ailing. So Nabi will go back to default setting. He will go back to plumbering.
Score.
And I see September and the team and Morgan. Coach Morgan, pound for pound, 1-0.
Score.
2-1 Chiefs.
Alright, amakhozi yatluwina hartsevi, but weekend itla be re tshwaretse dikarabo kaofela. Do make sure o dula le rona Mzanzi Fundiz, where we're going to be discussing African football, ditlapa tsa mo Mzanzi. Ha re boa re na le wena. Ka ya fela.